All right, and with us this morning, our first guest for Hot Copy is Sunshine De Leon. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming to HEADSTART.
Thank you so much for having me.
So first, I mean, are you excited? I mean, clearly you finished this film. It's 7 years in the making. How do you feel?
I'm not sure there is a word to describe how I feel. I feel everything. I feel all happy, positive, excited emotions.
Okay.
I mean, there's just so much to look forward to, and there's been so many great things that have happened since finishing the film.
Yeah.
It was beyond anything I could have ever imagined.
Why did you think of doing this film?
It's funny, because I think back now, and I don't remember a time when I didn't think of doing the film. I've had it in my gut for so long. Yeah. It started because when my grandmother's gift is her memory. She remembers everything, and she remembers it with clarity and detail. And I used to, growing up, I would watch people listen to her stories, and I would see their reactions. And they were always fascinated, and they wanted to know more. And then as I got older and people would come and continue to visit her, I just realized that she was a great character through which to get people interested in the history of the Philippines, which I felt growing up people didn't know enough about, both abroad and here. I think there's so much that she has to share, and I think that you have to understand your history and where you've come from in order to fully understand where you can go in life, as a country, as a person. So I thought that her memories would be the best way to bring that history alive and share it to people on the screen. Yeah. And I also thought, I watched her in action. I watched her humanity, her compassion, her I call it Nana's way, her way of living, her way of being, her way of seeing the world. I thought it was very special and unique, and there were a lot of lessons that she offers, simple truths that we often forget, that I also thought would be great to share with people.
How would you define, would you consider this a movie or a documentary? Where would it fall under?
It's a documentary.
Okay.
It's definitely a documentary.
Do you use actors in any part of the film when she tells stories? No. Nothing?
No, everything's real.
All right.
And we have a combination of survivors of the war. We have my grandmother. We have historians. We have people who've known her throughout her life, commenting in different ways to add to the story. It's basically, what we tried to do was blend the history of the Philippines with her own biography, with the third thread. I called it threads that we were weaving together. The third thread was, I call it humanity. It's her wisdom and insights on life, having seen the world grow up. Yeah. And she's 104, so she's seen a lot of different things, and it's, what does she want to pass on to us? Yeah.
Now, there's a resurgence of interest in Philippine history, especially when it comes to the younger set, seeing it in more commercial terms. I mean, after the success of General Luna, it's paved the way for many people to actually go out, go to the theater, and pay to watch something historical. I mean, it wasn't so many, it wasn't like this 10 years ago. General Luna was, it was a biopic about a figure that has been dead for a long time. It used actors. This particular film of yours, it's a documentary, but what is the goal? What is the theme other than, I mean, clearly she weaves Philippine history together. What did you set out to teach or to tell in the end?
I think that, first of all, about your comment about the resurgence of people wanting to know about history. I was so happy when General Luna was made, and the reaction was the way it was. I wrote my co-producer, who was in America, and I said, I think we're on the right track.
Oh, good,
I said, I think that people are starting. I mean, because I made this film because I always had this gut thing that I should make the film. I never really thought if people are going to like it, how's it going to do, etc. So when the audience seemed ready for this kind of thing, I was very excited. The goal is in the title, I think. I wanted to make a film that inspired people to be more curious about each other, about life. I hope, I always said that if people saw the film and they suddenly left it with a desire to be more curious, an interest in being more adventurous, however they wanted to define adventure in their life, and look at each other with more compassion and love, then my goal would have been, as a storyteller, I would have served my purpose. Yeah. I mean, on a larger level, I mean, I want people to care more about Philippine history. I think it's interesting and misunderstood or not understood at all. And so I wanted people to know more about history, and I wanted people to just learn, to be inspired by the little things that she does in the story, and to understand that everything has a ripple effect. A small action, the smallest of actions can lead to the greatest of change. And it's not hard to change people's lives. It's not hard to help people. You don't need a lot of time or money. You just need to care. And there's a lot of that sort of simple wisdom that reminds us, reminds us of how we can be, that we can always be better than we think.
Is there a misconception in Philippine history that you tackle in this film? Can you tell us what that is without revealing too much?
A misconception?
Yeah, like something you feel that this film addresses?
I don't think that this film necessarily addresses misconceptions. I think it just provides the broad strokes to understand the context of the Filipino country and culture and history. I think, for a lot of people in America don't know it was an American colony. A lot of people forget it was a Spanish colony. A lot of people have said to me, oh, I didn't know the Philippines was so devastated during the war. I think it enlightens people more. It sheds light on things that they might not have known. Or they didn't know that Manila was so devastated. Things like that.
Okay. You were filming this for 7 years.
Yeah.
7 years is a long time.
Yes.
Tell us, I mean, take us through the challenges in the last 7 years. What was, I mean, I can imagine just how difficult it was.
Yeah, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
All right.
And I had no idea when I got into it how hard it was going to be.
So you started funding it with your own money?
Yes.
Okay, tell us, were you the first camera person?
No, I didn't shoot it.
Okay, go on.
I had my hands in everything except shooting it.
Okay. So what did you do, like in the first year?
In the first year, because originally I thought her story would be a book. And then someone had said to me, the fact that she can speak at 99 and remember things so clearly, forget the book, do a film. So I rather naively said, okay, I'll make a film, having actually no idea what that meant or what that would entail. So I didn't really know what the story was going to be. I knew I had a good story, I just didn't know how to tell it. And I didn't know what to include, what not to include. So I just started to film her. I just hired a crew and said, let's just sit her down and ask her 100,000 questions. Yeah. And get everything on tape. And
you
then
didn't know it would get commercial, nothing. No. You just spent money, you hired a crew and filmed her, and then?
And then we just started following her around. Anytime, literally, I have so much footage. Even just, I would shoot at a family event. We'd go to an event. I would just take out my camera, whatever I had, and just shoot it in case we could use it.
Okay.
So it came together really in pieces. Like, I always had this vision of a film, and I wanted the film to sort of balance. The goal was to make the film balance the character, other than my grandmother, the film is shot in the house, which is a 200-year-old Spanish colonial house, right by this huge, gigantic, ancient rubber tree, banyan tree, right next to the Pasig River. So you have the house, the tree, the river, the old lady. They're all characters. And there's a poetry inherent in each of them that I wanted to come through in the film. So we had to balance that with the story, with actually having a storyline. So that was one of the hardest challenges. How did you figure out to balance poetry with story? And at the same time, how do you weave together history, humanity, and biography? And it was a huge balancing act. What images do you put in? What stories do you tell in? So that was one of the biggest challenges. It was also difficult because she was 99 when we started shooting her, so I couldn't bring her around Manila to do things. I had to shoot whatever she was doing in the house, and maybe once or twice I got her outside of the house, which meant we had to find a lot of archival footage to cover it, to make it interesting. That was a challenge, because there's no one place in Manila that you could go to with all the archival footage.
And why do you think that it takes 7 years? I mean, looking at it in hindsight now.
Because I didn't know what I was doing.
All right, I get it.
No.
That's smart. Okay, okay. So you didn't know what you were doing. That was fun.
No, because it was my first film, and I'd never been to film school. It was like I had said one morning, I want to be an astronaut. There was a huge learning curve, and I was working alone. I had to find the right people to work with. I had to, I just started collecting information. I would write everything down, take pictures, shoot everything, and then hoped at some point that I would figure out how to actually make this into a film. So